What's going on, guys? Late night hangout once again. It is a late night. It's already 12 o'clock on the East Coast. It's a little over after 9 actually on the West Coast. So 12:15 on the East. And if you're still up, go to bed. Watch me in the archives. What's going on, guys? So yeah, there's just gonna kind of go over some news with you guys, and just hang out and chat as we always do. Howdy, neighbor. James Brady, Patty Lynch, Guy Fawkes, Carolyn, Patty. I think I said Patty. Karen. And I Pet Goat. Gosh, that's what we should talk about. I Pet Goat. You know, I'm thinking about, what am I going to talk about? I know there's a lot of news. I mean, I could sit there and look at all the gory details ad nauseum and just depress everybody to the high heavens. But, hey, we all know it's bad, and it's going to get a lot worse. And I'll just give you the highlights of how bad it's going to get. And then hopefully we can meditate on something else that's going to make us feel good. Actually, I don't really want to feel good. I just want to know I'm in the truth. You know, when you do it, you know what makes me feel good is that I'm actually living in reality. That's what makes me feel good. When I can actually look at what's really happening and not want to shut my brain off. Because a lot of people do that. They just don't want to look. You know, they have an intuition like, oh yeah, it's like something's really bad out there and I don't want to really look at it. It's kind of like, just ignore the devil and he'll go away. You know, just don't look and it'll be fine. You know, yeah, there's people out here that want to mug me, but don't look at them. Well, that's how you get hit upside the head. You're not looking around. You got to be looking at what's going on around you. So if somebody's running up to you and he's going to knock you over the head, at least you can move out of the way. You know what I mean? So that's what gives me comfort is that my head is on a swivel. My head's going like this. It's like looking all around. You know, I don't want to. Is the volume down? I never saw it. Turn up my volume. Really? Volume is fine. Here, I can tell what my volume is, and it's on the brink of breaking people's eardrums. Maybe it's on your end. Turn your volume up. It's kind of like that saying when the big battleship is going in the ocean and he sees this light and this ship's coming toward him and he's like, I am a battleship. Please deviate your course 5 degrees. And then he gets back an alert, or he gets back a communication. How does he say it? He goes, you have to turn 5 degrees. He's like, I am a battleship. Well, I forget how it goes. Now I messed up the whole thing. I'm sorry. But you know what I'm talking about. And then it finally comes back where the guy says, well, I'm a lighthouse. You deviate and turn 3 degrees. You know, it's like the battleship thought he was all big and bad and end up finding out that he can't fight with land. You know, he thought it was another ship, anything that could compete with a aircraft carrier, right? Nothing can compete with an aircraft carrier. They've got right of way. You have to move. It's not up to us. It's you. But when you get to the point where you find out that the light that you see is not another ship, it's actually land, and it's a lighthouse. The lighthouse has right of way, right? The lighthouse has right of way. Anyways, I know I messed that up. I forgot how it went. But I recovered, I think. What's going on root-wise? What's happening? This should be fun. Yes, Royale, it should be fun. Big John. What's going on in the USA? Is the USA kicking butt? I don't think so. I don't think so. Personally, and I know that might not be happy news. That might not be what we want to hear. You know, that might not be flag-waving propaganda to make you feel like you want to go out there on the front lines and give your life for the red, white, and blue. But, you know, I don't worship the flag. And I don't worship political leaders. I worship God, and God gave us freedom, and God will either keep that freedom for us or he will take it away, and it's up to him. You know, and I say that freedom in an external sense of freedom. I'm not talking about an internal. Nobody can take away the freedom that I have in my soul. He whom the Son sets free is free indeed. All right? And there's no other freedom that you can ever have. You know, I've heard that saying said, you could be in a jail cell and be free. And you could also be outside of a jail cell and be walking free and be in a jail. It's kind of like the rich being rich, but they're really poor. But finding the poor actually being really rich. And, you know, it is a feast within, if you have everything squared away, your priorities are right, you should have, you know, real peace in your heart. You know, that's one thing that you can say. Have you ever heard that saying? Well, you can look at yourself in the mirror and you can feel at peace because you know who you are. You know, you live with yourself, you know, and it's not really just living with your old self when you accept who you are, because if you're unregenerate, the Bible says your heart is deceitful and wicked above all things. Who can know it? And how can you love something that you don't know? But when you come to a realization of who you are in Christ, now this is the key. You can't just know yourself. You know, there's that whole new agey thinking that you just got to get to know who you are. You know, you got to find yourself. You're never going to find yourself because it says it's deceitful and wicked. Who can know it? How are you going to find yourself if you can't even figure out where it's at? But what happens when the light of Christ comes and shines on your heart? It transforms you. And then you begin to know really what your purpose and what you were created for, and ultimately your destiny is marked out. And then you know who you are in Christ, right? Then you know who God is in you. Now, that doesn't mean you're God. That just means that God, through Christ, is living in you. He plants a seed, and it's uncreated, and it is eternal. It is his very own spirit. And it's the creator of all things that has brought all things into existence that comes to live inside. That's why it says you've been born again, not of corruptible seed, but of incorruptible, by the living and enduring word of God. All flesh is as grass, and the glory of man is as the flower of the grass. The grass withers, the flower falls away, but the word of the Lord endures forever. And this is the word by which the gospel has been preached to you. And it's basically a message that shows you the reality of who this word comes from, right? This word I'm giving you has already been spoken from the Almighty. All right, it's a holy writ. And if I speak, faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. If I'm truly speaking the word of God by the Spirit of God, it's going to sear into your soul. And you're never going to get away from that reality, because it's the Creator himself giving you his own word. The same word that brought all things into existence, including you as a human. Not to mention all the demons that fell, because they were also created. But they're all subject to this word that is eternal. And it's a seed that's planted in your unregenerate soul that begins to transform you back to the place where you're supposed to be, if you receive it. How many of you how many of you guys out there have received this? How many of you out there have received this seed in your soul, and it's already growing, and it's germinated, it's growing, it's producing fruit, or it's in the process of getting there? You know, we're all on a journey. We're all going down the road of, you know, maturing in our faith. And I like to talk about this because it's like seed time, harvest, and you know, we're becoming farmers. We're becoming gardeners. I said farmers, gardeners. You know, with little animals as well. You could say it's kind of like gardening. You got children. They're little plants. You know, little seeds, and everything's growing. You know what I mean? Life is like that. At a certain point, you know, once you begin your life, there's a purpose, and then that purpose is said and done, and then comes the fall, then comes the winter. You know, you go to the cycle, and this cycle is the seasons of life. And the Lord said to the Pharisees, you can discern the signs of the seasons and when things are changing by looking at the sky, but you can't tell when your visitation has been speaking directly to you. So how many of you out there know your visitation? When the Lord spoke to you, how many of you out there, I want to know how many of you out there are really, truly right with God? Can you honestly look at yourself and and see a renewed self in the mirror, a renewed, transformed, in his image self? We're talking about a born again soul from above. Can you see that? and know it and be at peace, because I'm going to tell you what, you better have that peace in the days to come, because things are going to get really bad. You better know who you are in Christ. James Brady says 1. God bless James Brady. Bless James Brady. Dollar Tree has non-GMO microgreen seeds, inexpensive greenhouses. Stock up today. Karen Fed. I am definitely doing that. I am doing a bulk purchase for all of those who want to get set up, especially with that. Thank you for letting us know. The broccoli seeds. Those are the most powerful seeds you can get. If you can get them into microgreens and get them growing, I've got videos on how to do it, how-tos. I've got the best prices that you can get in bulk and also support the channel. That's a two birds with one stone. Right on, you're supporting the work of the Lord at the same time. Praise God. How can you get past that? Go to the zeolite.blog. Thank you, Karen, for alerting me to that. But we're buying it in bulk to get you guys the best price, and also to make sure that you're food independent, because you're going to need to have vegetables. And if you can get protein, get some chickens. Make sure you got some protein coming in at all times. Eggs are good protein. It's a very healthy protein. Beans and rice, stock up. Things are going to go out through the roof. Not only gas prices, but food prices, and everything is going to disappear once again, worse than COVID. This is all part of the plan. Don't trust the plan. Just understand what the plan is. They have a plan. And we knew what the plan was a long time ago. And that's why we told a lot of you that were listening and you prepared. Just like pre-COVID, people were like, thank you, Robert, for telling me ahead of time. And I ended up getting prepared. And I didn't have to worry about fighting for the last piece of bread or the last steak or whatever that disappeared off the shelves, because you told me ahead of time, and I believed and I understood, because you had also warned about masks disappearing. And yep, you were right about that. So I said, you're probably right about the food. And then again, here we are right now. And I told you guys all in advance. Right now, we're in the late stage. Now you're starting to see gas go up. Now you're going to see these wars break out. Now you're going to see everything again. Not only are they preparing for another bird flu, this bird flu now is coming in. I don't know if you've seen the recent reports even today on bird flu. In the UK, they're preparing now for bird flu. They've got all the vaccines set up and everything. Oh yeah, they're getting ready for bird flu. So it's going to be wars, famine, because it's affecting the whole global economy. They're setting the stage for the whole thing to collapse. If you didn't see that Chinese dude that I posted on the site, he basically explains the facts. It's just details of fact. And we're talking about the way the land is laid out. We're talking about OPEC nations and how they're dependent 90% on the food and water that comes in through the Strait of Hormuz. These are all our allies. They're not being protected. They're being bombed on a daily basis now. Iran knows, so does Russia, and they're doing this on purpose. Russia's aiding them and giving them all the logistics and all the intel from space and satellite to make sure they get their targets. And they're putting a bruising on what we're doing. And I'm going to tell you what, it's kind of reminds me of like a fight when you see two people fighting in a ring. I don't know if you ever watch MMA or fighting. One guy gets really, he thinks he's bad, thinks he's awesome. He thinks he knows what he's doing. And he's out there fighting, but you got somebody that's really precise, very trained, very intuitive fighter. And he knows where all this, he has his mind, he's got peace in his soul, but he knows how to fight. And he's just tagging him really hard, but then he's evading the counterattack. And he just keeps tagging him. And the guy's like, his pride is getting the best of him, but he's also very angry. You can see he's angry, and he's getting angry that he's getting hurt. But this guy just keeps tagging him and kicking his leg, hurting his legs, punching him in the liver gut, the liver shots. And this dude is getting wounded. You can tell but he's really pissed. He's got a huge ego. He can't handle it. His brain is exploding. What happens is when you get angry, all your blood vessels begin to constrict. You can't think as clear, and your timing is off, and it starts messing with your coordination and everything else. This is what's happening right now to America. I'm telling you guys, they have the country. And I'm going to say it, the way it's all working out right now, you better be ready. I'm just telling you. Support what we're doing directly. Okay, you guys, you don't want to buy, you don't want to get into the sprouting. If you think you got everything squared away with your food and your vegetables, and you think that everything that's in the store is safe, it's not, by the way. You make sure you get organic. But even if it all disappears or it goes up and skyrockets in price, pennies on the dollar, seeds are going to help you, especially in microgreens. You can grow it 24/7, 365 days a year right out on your windowsill, and you'll always have a big crop. You got to just rotate. But if you're not going to do that, support us directly, send a donation. Help us out. We're definitely on the front lines for you guys, making sure you hear it. Also, if you think we might get censored, we might be saying stuff that's not kosher, might be, rocking the boat a little too much. We're not being offensive, but we're definitely speaking the truth. There has been other channels out there recently that have been taken down. Now, I don't foresee that happening here because we're not really saying and speaking out in an offensive way. We're speaking the truth, and the truth may seem offensive to someone that's evil and doing things wrong, right? They're going to want, but you can't really censor someone that's speaking a conviction of truth when it says when you're blameless, they have nothing to say, right? But if you have something to blame, yeah, you might be opening yourself up to getting taken down. But if you do get taken down for what's good, then you're doing the right. You're like a martyr, right? Then it ends up making that message even more powerful. It makes that message spread even farther. But if you're doing something and you do something wrong and you get taken down, well, then people are like, well, whatever, they're edgy, they're doing stuff wrong the way they're speaking, So there's been a couple channels, they were speaking a lot of truth, but they also were speaking out in things they shouldn't have been talking about. So they were taken down. So you could say, well, they were taken down because they did that. They were inciting, they were inciting anger, which at a time like this, you don't want to do that. When you're at a time of war and things are going down, you don't want to be yelling and screaming and saying fire in a crowded theater. You know what I mean? You want to make sure that you're speaking the truth in love. And by the way, you speak the truth in love. Even if it's brutally honest, it is love, right? You want to speak the truth in love. You want to tell people the way as best as you can to get them in the right place. Orderly exit out the doors, no panic. We don't want everybody to crush each other on the way out. We want to make sure everybody's orderly, getting into a place of securing their environment and their own safety, physically as well as spiritually. Most importantly, spiritually. This is really a spiritual conversation here. But it does affect your natural world. It affects everything that you do in your natural world. You want to talk about the iPet Goat? Yeah, because I saw some things on the iPet Goat. Honey, let's get that iPet Goat stuff up. We're just hanging out. I don't want to get into all there's so much bombing and everything going on. It's terrible. You want to do the research on how bad things are. Just look at the channel, start going through some YouTube videos on what we posted. Or really just follow our feed on Telegram. We post everything there every day. So you can follow the whole thread of the whole day of all the breaking news right there. But one of the things that I would suggest you look at is that Chinese guy's take. And I would say it's just an analysis of facts and figures. It's kind of like math. 2 + 2 = 4. Some people were criticizing him and saying that's why his video went viral. It already got 1.5 million views in just a few hours. There's a reason why. Because people are looking at this and they're saying, holy cow, this is going to affect the whole planet. And not only that, but the U.S., especially epicenter, because they're the ones that have basically facilitated this whole thing. And now we're going to be blamed for it. At least that's the way it looks to me. And you're going to see a lot of fallout with a lot of our allies, including a lot of NATO countries, but mostly our OPEC, source of energy. Now, we have a lot of energy here, and maybe we want the price of oil to go up. Maybe that's part of the plan because we are an oil producing country. I think we are, at least right now. Are we? Are we an exporter yet? Have we gotten to the point where we are exporting oil yet? Does anybody know? I know we were at one point, and they say it takes a year to 2 years to get that back up and running because I know Biden shut it down. Once Trump came in, once Trump left, Biden basically shut everything down that Trump did. So I'm not sure if we've gotten to the point right now where we're actually exporting. But I think that maybe things are going to hit the fan. Let's go check out the iPet Goat stuff. Blackberries and green and purple grapes, all using Korean natural farming techniques. Really? Let's see here. Yeah. Somebody said begging. No, we're not begging. We're just appealing. Everybody makes an appeal. Everybody that does YouTube, especially if they're doing it for, a spiritual reason. Some people have a store. Some people have products that they pitch. Everybody that does it as a job, if they're doing it 8 to 10 hour days, that's how they make. So one of the persons in the chat that's criticizing, and I was listening to Canadian Prepper the other day, and he's like, the reason I don't even talk about my store is because I got all these little chatty people that get all mad if you talk about your store or you talk about a product, and who cares? Who really cares? Only the nitpicking Karens out there. We don't want a bunch of nitpicking Karens. Hey, we need to stay on the air. We need to keep doing this. You're here benefiting from all this information and the conversation, and especially those who are of the church. You should just support what we do if you like what I'm doing. Right? I'm trying to build a network of people that are going to keep us on the air because we're definitely needing more people. My whole, I'm not going to be like, well, I won't go into all that. The only reason I make these statements is because I know there's people that have been nipping at our heels for all the years that we've been on, trying to say that our motives are wrong. And for many years, I just did my own business and I didn't even ask for a dime. Okay, but we got out of that business because it was all corporate connected and they were, manipulating. And I wasn't on. I wasn't doing YouTube videos as much. I was only doing, 1 or 2 a week, maybe, if that. And people didn't like that. So now I'm doing it every day, but I'm not in the corporate world. Okay, so I can be corporate or I can be sponsored by you, the viewer. What are you all upset about? I'm not talking to all of you. There's 1 or 2 in here that are making a big deal about it. Hey, we got to raise funds. It's not begging. It's just making an appeal. If you don't like that, well, then go to another channel. I see that person in here all the time. I don't know why they're even saying that. You're here benefiting all the time I'm on. I see you in the chat, making chat. Anyways, go on. Move on. Strait of Hormuz. This scene is unfolding right now. Let me look at some of the news really quick. Okay, so we're going to go over the iPet Goat stuff. Now, this is really interesting imagery. If you're familiar with the iPet Goat video, and some of you may not, so I'm going to give you a little history on the iPet Goat video. It was posted at least 15 years ago on a site and a channel. It was the only video that was on the channel. It went viral and got millions and millions and millions of views over the years. People looked at it as almost an insight into the agenda of what they expected to happen to the world from an occult point of view, almost like an occult prophecy. It did take a lot of biblical imagery. It even has Psalms 23 embedded on the actual wall. At one point, you can see imagery that's almost predictive that has actually taken place and come to pass. So it's kind of weird. It's almost like a prophecy. So many people looked at this as some kind of predictive programming, maybe even from the dark side, that might be giving us a clue about what we could see happening in the future, right? And this channel is kind of interesting because they took down this video off their YouTube channel about, 2 or 3 years ago, 2 years ago or so, out of the blue. They took it down. Nothing else is on the channel. people were like, why did they do that? So everybody was like, there's a message being sent here. Has something to do with Trump. There's some message being sent, right? Well, then they posted a couple of other videos out of the blue that didn't even make any sense. People were trying to decipher it, saying it was some kind of embedded, coded message. And there was kind of some interesting analysis of that. And I think that they reposted the video once again. But we're going to go over it because there's been so much speculation and talk about this. But I truly do think there is an embedded message there. And there's a lot of symbolisms and things that are happening in the news that have actually taken place from this video. So for those who do know what we're talking about, this is really for you. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this might not make a whole lot of sense to you, and you may not find this of any interest unless you do the research. And when you do the research, then it might be more interesting to you. So I'll just say that, especially if you're a person that looks at prophecy and, the Bible says don't be ignorant of the devil's devices. If you got an enemy, you study his tactics, you study his esoteric messaging that he's putting out, right? The enemy of your soul is out there trying to prepare others for your epic end time battle, right? This is a spiritual war you're engaged in. So you should be aware of the weapons and the messaging that's being put out. Don't be ignorant, it says, of the devil's devices. So I think we should all be looking. I will definitely do that Royale Splendor. I will definitely be praying for you, brother. I will be praying. I know there's a lot of people that are in tight spots because of what's going on economically, and we all need to be praying for each other and asking God to provide. That's one thing I ask for the Lord, is to provide for all of you. Tonight, I prayed that. I prayed for you out there that God would provide every need, spiritual, physical, emotional, and economic. For all those that listen to me, I pray God meet your needs in accordance with his riches that are in glory. And that's an amazing amount of resource. God has all the resources. He owns everything. He created everything. I've seen God answer prayers that are blow my mind every single time. I am not going to doubt him during this moment. And I'm not going to doubt him on your behalf either. I believe God can do it for you as well. I have seen God do so many miracles over the years, I can't even begin to chronicle them all. I literally should just write a journal or a book of all these things that have happened, just to encourage people. But I just want to tell you that. Be encouraged if you're out there and you have some needs, that God will meet your need. But you got to seek him. You got to really be right. You got to be expecting God to answer. You got to have faith. Faith is very important. When asking from God, it says, you shouldn't doubt. It says, nothing doubting, for he that doubts is like a wave of the sea. Let not that man think that he shall receive anything from the Lord. When you come to the Lord, come and asking in faith, believing that you should receive, then you're going to have what you ask. Don't doubt, it says. So go with great faith and trust that your Father who is good, and loves you, as a good father would provide all your needs. He's the Father of lights, and every good and perfect gift comes down from the Father of lights, in whom there's no shadow of turning. There's so many promises out there. Get a hold of those promises. Pray the promises. Meditate on those words and expect that God will fulfill his promise to you, because these are for you. If you're a child of God, he's given you promises. All right, let's get in there and look at some of this stuff. So, all right, here is the iPetGoat stuff. Now, some of this stuff I've never seen before. I've been analyzing this video for many years, and I started to see things that I haven't seen before. And some of you guys have listened to me in the past talk about this, and there are certain things that, like I said, I've never seen before, and we're gonna look at some of that right now. All right, this is kind of a laid back gathering of just armchair analysts analyzing and armchair analysis of some of these messages that might be being sent to us. And they say the occult does this. It's a part of their magic. They have to tell you what they're going to do. And I don't know if you've ever heard that statement, but that's, I think that's a reality. They do put those messages out there encoded and as a way to inform the spirit realm, just the world in general. It's kind of a ritual where they'll put out those messages ahead of time so that you understand if you're one of a person that does decipher signs. And a lot of these occult practitioners know what they're looking at. A lot of people like you and me wouldn't, right? We wouldn't know what to look at. We wouldn't know what it means unless, of course, you're schooled and well-versed and have studied this kind of stuff, then you might see it. And then, then you can prepare in accordance, accordingly. So there's a lot of symbolism here. If you see here, this is where George W. Bush or George W. Bush, W, turns into Obama. So look at this. It says the evolution of U.S. presidents culminates with Trump as the Antichrist, with the letters in the unfinished game of the hangman corresponding to the numerological value of Trump's name. Now look at this. I've never seen this before. Trump, there's a picture of what looks to be Trump up in the corner. Look at this. Now I don't want to let everything go with the sound because I got to break it up because I don't want to have a copyright. So I'm breaking it up. You can see this is obviously George Bush Jr. Up, and he turns into Barack Obama. And there you have a map. You got the obviously the owl, which is the symbol of the Illuminati. This is one of their big symbols. You've got evolve here, or backwards, it's LOVE, which love, evolve, love, but a hangman here. What's the hangman? And then it goes on. Okay, and then we got the evolution, the evolve. Here we go. Evolution in the classroom. Remember, this is the reason they call it I Pet Goat was because on 9/11, George Bush Jr., George W. Bush, was in a classroom and he was reading a book to the children called the I Pet Goat, right? Or at least the teacher was. She was reciting this little book for probably, I think they were like first graders, or maybe they were kindergartners. I think they were like first graders. And this was exactly at the moment when the Twin Towers were being hit by planes. And what she was reading in those books coincided exactly, the words that were being read, with what was actually happening. And then at that moment, while George Bush is sitting there in the classroom with the cameras and everything rolling, his advisors come up and speak into his ear. Hey, President Bush, America is under attack. And he has this really weird look on his face, and he just sits there for another 20 minutes. He doesn't get up. He stays there, and he doesn't move. He continues to listen to what's going on in the classroom. And if you listen to the reading of the book, it is very weird, very, it explains exactly what's going on at that very moment. With the towers being hit by the planes, you got to get into this. Well, anyways, so at the classroom, you see up at the top, it's 12 o'clock. Bam, that's the 12 o'clock hour. The evolution of humanity. And here's man. Does that not look like a Trump? Does that not look like a stout Trump? And a stout little Trump he is right there. And then you got the little Antichrist figure. But let's go ahead and continue. A close-up of the visual. The Golden Age. The Golden Age with the Eye of Horus on his head, with barbed wire as the crown of thorns. What does the barbed wire symbolize? Well, internment camps, really? You know, what do you have barbed wire for? Mostly you see around fencing that you don't want people to get into, right? Normally? Anyways. Evolve equals, if you go to the gematria, 5, 22, 15, 12, and then evolution, because it really stands for evolution, right? It actually equals in gematria. And if you don't know what gematria is, it's a way of calculating certain numbers and letters that equal a certain value. And there's calculators that will do that in different gematria formats. I know they've got an English, they've got a Hebrew. Anyways, so Trump's name comes out to 88 when you actually do the gematria on it, and so does evolution, which is interesting. But you got fire in the house, you got winter in the background here over here, and you see, and you see over here, let me see if you can see, why am I doing this here? Can you see my cursor there? Okay, yeah, you can. And then you see there's a house on fire here. And you see one of the snowflakes that has the Israeli sign in it, right? The Star of David. And you see the splitting of the brain, right? You see, and there's a red dragon there in the back, or a dragon. It's not red. In the background, you can see it there as well. A lot of this stuff has symbolism and meaning, but we're going to go on. This is the teacher that was actually there on 9/11. And you see George W. Bush with a dunce hat on his head, right? These are all part of the play. It's part of a play. You got the black and white checkerboard, which represents the duality, and it's also symbolism when you see the checkerboard of the Illuminati Masonic temple, right? Because they have that in their temples. Okay, so then you see in this part where you see the attack on Islam and the attack on what is a mosque by what looks like stealth bombers. You see this figure, which I think represents Islam right here, in the children, right? This is kind of a child coming up out of the blown up mosque. It's a full moon. He's coming up out of the mosque. There's no more mosque there because it's blown up. He comes up out of the mosque. And then you see Islamic mother, which is really weird because people were saying that this looks exactly like what happened once the children were killed in that bombing, right? We supposedly the U.S. bombed a school, and there was like 170 children that were killed. There was a lot of women that were dressed just like this in Iran that were crying just like this for dead children, right? You see a nuclear explosion in the background there. So this woman is dressed in an Islamic garb that you would see in very, fundamental type religious Muslims. And you got the nuclear explosion in the background. You see the rings, the percussions, and the child laying there, right? So then it goes on, and you see there's a bunch of fallout. You can see like a nuclear dust falling. You see that dust. That's not snow. That's probably nuclear fallout. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khomeini, has been martyred. And this has to do with, let's see, Hierophant Ali. It says, the whirling heart of Islam awakened to the one true God. He is free and he needs no control. I'm trying to think of what is this Ali? Is that's actually on their video, right? Okay. Iranian revenge for Ali's death, right? So they've basically just taken out their only child. It's kind of like this man is so beloved in the Muslim world, not just from Shia Muslims, but even Muslims from around the world are sympathizing with this that aren't even Shia Muslims. And you've got a lot of other cultures and other belief systems that actually sympathize with this as well. I mean, I showed you a video and posted on YouTube here in just today in New York City. They're doing a memorial for Ali Khamenei right inside of New York City in a borough. I don't know if it's they say it was the hood or some kind of area where there's a lot of poor that, have their poor area, what they call the projects. It looked like there's a project out of the projects, but they had an altar set for Ali Khamenei, and they were flying the Iranian flag and Khomeini's picture, and they had candles, and all these people were out there, and they're doing this big service. And this is in the USA inside of New York City, okay? And a lot of them were dressed in black, and they had their whole heads and everything covered. Okay, so this is another thing here. Now, this part is where it looks like Ali Khamenei represented as Osama bin Laden, and you see an army of Islamic fighters behind. Now, look at this really carefully. This I had never seen before. If you look at this right here, if you look at this structure here that they're on, it looks like a ship, but it's actually the Strait of Hormuz. This right here is a picture of the mountainous region surrounding the Strait of Hormuz. And here you have a leader directing the Islamic armies right here at the strait. And it's all about the oil. Look at what happens. So this is Osama, but he's also dressed in fatigues, right? It's a blood moon. What did we just have? We just had a blood moon. This is a blood moon up here. You see, this is an actual lunar eclipse, which we just had. We just had a lunar eclipse. You've got this imam directing these militants. You see, they all got swords in their hands, but they got cones on their head. Okay, this is the all-seeing eye. And then he's got the CIA. See how he's got the CIA thing on here? This is a CIA patch. So we all know Osama bin Laden and all this Islamic Al-Qaeda was all created by the CIA, right? So the whole 9/11 thing, supposedly it was done by Osama, right? This represents this Islamic world with the swords in military garb in preparation at the Strait of Hormuz. And I'll show you the pictures of how it lines up with the strait. On a full moon, or on a blood moon, and it's all about the oil. Look, see the oil? Whoops. Gosh darn it. What did I do? I lost my place now. Okay, here we go. So here is the... So you see, it's all about the oil. And you see the oil dripping into the what looks to be the Gulf, right? Well, here's the Strait of Hormuz and the way the mountainous region looks. And if you look at the picture here, I don't know if you can see that. Let me pull it down here because I don't know if you can actually. Okay, there. Can you see it there? Oh, you know what? I think I have a filter on this. Do I have a filter on that? No, I don't. Okay, so you can see the parallel to, let me get myself out of the way here. I'm kind of in the way here. All right, you see how that looks to be an overlay? Okay, so look. That's an actual topography of the Strait of Hormuz. They laid this out very similarly as this boat, because it doesn't even make sense. Why would they put this very strange, shape in the iPet Goat as a boat with Osama, which represents their imam or their, spiritual leader that's guiding and directing this army that looks to be on the strait? Because this is actually very close in its depiction of what we could say is the Strait of Hormuz. How war in the Middle East is choking off the world's oil and gas. New York Times. The scene unfolding right now, bin Laden portrays Iran's Ayatollah standing with his army at the Strait of Hormuz, cutting off world oil supply. And you can see, if you look really closely, you can see that this is a strait. Look, you got a body, a place right here that is obviously a transited place, I think you would say. I'll show you the full video just so you can kind of see. We can kind of go through it here really quickly and give you a visual of the whole unfolding, chronologically unfolding video so you can understand how it is. Now, there is a little bit of an adult scene, I guess. I guess we can kind of look at that, but it has to do with the whore, which is the church. You're talking about the Catholic Church. And I'm not saying that Catholic Church is a whore, but I'm just saying that all false faith, whether it's Protestant or Catholic or any other faith that kind of ecumenical goes along with this, is in that category as what Revelation speaks about. This woman that is decked in gold. She has a gold cup and she's decked in scarlet and purple, right? She's looking like a queen, but she's really like a Jezebel. But she is a religious influence or movement or a system that rides the political beast. Remember, this entity that we call the whore of Babylon is religious in nature, and it rides the political beast that ultimately turns and devours the woman in Revelation, right? So the woman is riding the beast. At a certain point, the beast turns and devours the woman. So this, I believe, represents the church here. And I can't put the sound on because it's obviously probably copyright. But here's the opening scenes. Let me make sure I'm out of this picture here. Let me get myself out of the picture here. So you have a concentration camp. You got the goat, and iPet Goat. Got a beast number 666 on its head. It's got the bar symbol. It's obviously a concentration camp because you can see the barbed wire. It looks kind of like Nazi Germany. You can see those same type of, poles that are over there in Germany when they had the concentration camps. Satan obviously is the puppet master. You can see he's got the S. And by the way, Trump is the goat. Remember, Trump is the goat. Remember, even his own son says that Trump is the goat. The picture of that Eric Trump posted on his own social media of Trump looking in the mirror and looking back at Trump was a goat. Remember that. Don't forget. So you got the puppet master, Satan, Remember, look, see, this is Satan right here. You see the S for Satan? Blood on his hands. He is the puppet master. And then you see the puppet George W. Bush. Kind of a bumbling fool. He does a little dance. This is in the 9/11 situation as it unfolds. And by the way, I'll tell you what was said on 9/11. Here's what was said. It says, on September 11th, 2021, President George W. Bush was reading a children's story titled The Pet Goat, often mistakenly referred to as My Pet Goat, but it's called The Pet Goat, to the second grade students at Emma E. Booker Elementary School in Sarasota, Florida. The story from a reading mastery workbook focuses on a girl who receives a goat that constantly butts things, and you know how goats are. The story is a short, simple tale about a girl and her pet goat. It features sentences with phonics-based words like steal, plain, must, hit. And this is what they were saying. The steal, plain, must, hit. And it's just absolutely crazy the way this thing was read. Let me just read it to you, the full transcript here. Let's see if I can find it here really quick. On September 11, 2021, Bush was reading the book, My Pet Goat, when the first plane hit the World Trade Center. Bush finished reading the book after being informed. Those kids are grown now. Any accounts of how they feel about all that? At the time, there was an uproar about him continuing to read the book. I think Bush said something that, like, he didn't want to alarm the kids by leaving abruptly. I wonder how the people in the room feel about being a part of that now that they're grown. He didn't leave for like 20 minutes after hearing about what was going on. 20 minutes. Let's see if I can find an actual account of what was being said. And I want to make sure that you see this because it's for the context of the video itself. Okay, this is not the one I want to show you. Okay, well, this one, I think this is it right here. Okay, so this is the actual event as it happened on September 11th, 2001. Watch this.
It's really exciting for me. It's really exciting for me to be here. I want to thank Ms. Daniels for being a teacher. I want to thank Gwen for being a principal. And I want to thank you all for practicing reading so much. It's really important.
And this morning we do have a lesson that we will read with you, read for you.
Good.
And it's lesson 60 of our SRA reading program. Direct instruction.
I know very well where that came from.
Okay. Are you ready, my butterflies? Yes. LLP position, eyes on me. 1, 2, 3. Get ready to read all the words on this page without making a mistake. Park. Read this word the fast way. Get ready.
Park.
Yes, park. What do these two letters say?
R.
Yes, R. Sound it out. Get ready.
Park.
What word?
Park.
Yes, park. What do these two letters say?
R.
Yes, pick your reader up from under your seat. Open your book up to lesson 60 on page 153.
Okay, so right there, he's being informed of what's going on. And I believe it says in the back, make America great. Is that what it says back there? I think that's what they were saying. Oh, reading makes a country great. It sounds like MAGA. The sign behind him says, reading makes America great. Or makes a country great. Okay, so here we go.
reader up from under your seat. Open your book up to lesson 60 on page 153. At the count of 3, everyone should be on page 153. If the yellow paper is going to bother you, drop it. Thank you.
Now remember, George Bush knows right now that America is under attack. He has been informed, and you see his look on his face, that the buildings have been hit by planes, or at least the first plane is hit. And I think they already know at that point that there's something very amiss going on, because the fighter jets are up in the air and they're tracking these planes, right? And so look at what these kids what they're being told to read.
Everybody touch the title of your story. Fingers under the title. Get ready to read the title, The Fast Way. We're waiting for one member. Okay. Thank you. Fingers under the title of the story. Get ready.
The pet goat.
Yes, the pet goat. Fingers under the first word of the story. Get ready to read the story the fast way. Get ready.
A girl had a pet goat.
Go on.
She liked to go running with her pet goat.
Go on.
She played with her tail.
Try it again. Get ready from the beginning of that sentence. Get ready.
She played with her goat in her house.
Go on.
She played with her goat in her yard.
Good job. Go on.
But the goat did something that made the girl sad.
Let's clean that up. Get ready. Start with but. Get ready.
But the goat did something that made the girl sad mad.
Go on.
The goat ate things.
Go on.
He ate cans and he ate eggs.
Try that again. Get ready.
He ate cans and he ate cans.
Good job. Go on.
He ate cans and he ate cans.
Go on.
He even ate cats and cats.
Try that again. Get ready.
He ate
Okay, so you know what? I'm not sure if this is
Good
not
job.
this is not where she reads it. Hold on. She has to read it. Hold on.
Go on.
One day her dad said that goat must go.
What's behind the word said?
Comma.
And what does that comma mean?
Slow down.
Let's read that sentence again. Get ready.
One day her dad said that goat must go.
Go on.
He ate too many things.
Try that again. Go on.
He ate too
What is that word?
many.
Sound.
Okay, so this is not the one where she says it. So I guess that's not the actual part where the woman, where she actually says the words of what is actually happening. Let me see if I can find it. September 11th, George Bush. I'll be able to find it here. Let me just put it up here really quick. And this is not it. This is not it. Okay, here it is.
Yes.
I think this might be it.
Kid. Boys and girls, sound this word out. Get ready.
Steal.
What word?
Steal.
Yes, steal. Read the
So the first word is steel. Okay, so what is steel? Steel, tower, building, right? Steel.
these words the fast way. Get ready.
Plane.
Yes, plane. Get ready.
Must.
Yes.
Plane, steel, plane, must. The next word is must.
Yes, must. Let's read these words the fast way without making a mistake. Get ready.
Kite.
Yes, kite. Get ready.
Okay, you missed the first word. The first word was kite. The second word was steel. And the third word was plane. And the fourth word was must. Just watch.
Ready?
Kick.
Yes, kicks. And 60 on page 153.
So it was steel, kite, plane, must, hit. I forget how they said it in the order. I think they cut this up because do you see how they edited this? This is not actually in the order that it was supposed to be. This is a Fox News. So they edited it. I think they tried to edit this to try to hide how obviously it sounded like they were actually detailing what was actually happening at that moment, where the plane was actually hitting the building at that very moment, and it was a steel. Right there. But anyways, this is where it comes from so that you know. Just so you know where it comes from. And this is the original video that came out after. So you got George Bush dancing right there. And then he turns into Obama. But he's a dunce at first.
Shame on, shame on, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you. For me, take that fold again, 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 take that fold again.
So then he turns into Obama. Obama makes jokes. He's laughing. And you got the 12 disciples here. 12 disciples with a woman. She's got an apple. She's in the midst of a circle, which is like the circle of power. A lot of times the occult will do that with their, their pentagrams. They'll sit in that place of power. This is obviously disciples that are here with barbed wire all around them. And you got 12 of them. She's got the apple of Eve, right? The tree, the forbidden fruit. She looks at the apple, the spotlight, she lets it roll, and it just so happens to hit Obama's foot. And then it opens up, and lo and behold, it turns into a lotus. A lotus, obviously, is an occult symbol of enlightenment, but it's also something that troubles Obama. He starts to see something, know something from this. He starts to sweat, and then you see him looking very concerned. And if you look right here on the wall, you'll see Psalms 23. You can't really decipher it, but if you really look at it, it'll say Psalms, Psalms 23, walking through the valley of the shadow of death. And the flag falls off the pole, right? Remember, this was so weird. I don't know if you've ever seen the flag falling Olympics. It was 9/11 or 2012, but it was something very strange because when they're singing this, tell me that this isn't how God works, but listen. When they say, because you got the recipients of the gold medal, right? And it's one of them is, I think the U.S. has a gold or maybe it's a silver or something, but they're singing the national anthem of the U.S. And when they say, can you see, by the dawn's early light, and then it says that our flag was still there, right? When they said when our flag was still there, the flag falls. The flag falls. Watch this. Gave proof to that our our flag was still there. And the crowd gasps. Listen to that. The crowd gasps and then claps. Our flag was still there, and then it falls. Tell me that's not like a prophecy or something that God was speaking, right? That was in 2012. Now, here we go. We got the flag falling. The flag falls. 2012. You see here a burning Twin Tower, but the Twin Tower has almost like it almost looks like a woman or something, but it's collapsing. And this might be in a symbolic representation of the avarice of the Western culture and society and its decadent kind of hedonism of extreme, riches. And then you have this strange Egyptian boat figure that harkens back to the Egyptians, right? This is a boat that's going through. A lot of times the Egyptians would have their boats that lead into the underworld or into the realm of spirit worlds, and they always talk about the boat taking them to the other side or into that place of enlightenment. And this is also looking at and here's where you see Osama, right? This is that part what we were talking about. Got the blood moon. Obviously, there's oil in the background there, dripping. Very, very dark-looking night, storm. And then you see the Israeli sign. Now, if you go to the Statue of Liberty, it's on a base. The platform is a Star of David, just like it is here. So you see the Statue of Liberty in the Gulf. So this I don't know if this is the Persian Gulf, right? But you remember A.A. Allen had that vision, and he saw the Statue of Liberty in the Gulf collapse into the Gulf. Remember that vision? Very similarly described as and this was in the 50s. He just so happened to have this vision on top of the building in New York, the Empire State Building, when he was looking through the telescopes. Remember? This was in the 50s when he had this vision. And he saw the Statue of Liberty fall in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, that could be symbolic of the Gulf itself, right? The Gulf of Mexico. Why did he see it fall in the Gulf of Mexico? Well, that was at the time when it started to cough. It had something to do with some kind of virus. He thought it meant it was some kind of attack on America that had to do with biological and or chemical warfare, because he also saw the missiles coming from both sides of the ocean, right? This was very similar to Dimitri Duduman's vision, except he saw more about the Statue of Liberty. Now, the Statue of Liberty has the Jewish Star of David underneath it. Now look at what happens. So its light falls off. It falls off. And then, so that means the light's gone out of America, right? And then you see this very strange egg-like baby that's being wrapped by a snake. And this snake, I believe, represents a demonic power that is intelligent, and it's analyzing this embryo that's beginning to be born, this new influence. And as we see the progression of the Antichrist he's unconscious. Now, remember this, the Antichrist in this video is unconscious. He's in a state of an unconsciousness. So he doesn't know who he is yet, or he hasn't awakened. He hasn't awakened yet. But it has something to do with the Egyptian symbolism. We go back to the ancient religions, or the what they call the mystery religions that were a part of the origins of our country. When you talk about Rosicrucianism and the wedding of Egyptian religions with the Christian West, because that's what Rosicrucianism is. Rosicrucians were actually created by the Templars, and you got masonry that came out of that. Out of the Rosicrucians came Masons, the Masonry, what we call Masonic temple and the Masonic rituals. They were very closely unified with Rosicrucianism, and that kind of, I think, birthed Masonry. But it goes all the way back. It harkens back to the Solomon's Temple, and they go back to their history, which they believe goes all the way back to the Egyptians. And there's a lot of symbolism and a lot of interesting connections to history and architecture and archaeology. You might do some deep dives on that topic. But anyway, this is why you see the Egyptian symbols here, because it's pointing in that direction, right? And here's the Antichrist on this boat. He's unconscious. He's got obviously things that are going on. You see how he's unconscious and he's kind of just in a trance. And out of the Antichrist comes this evil demonic entity that speaks almost like the snake. Well, he is a snake, but he's a TV. And what does that represent? It's some kind of communication. It's some kind of programming. He's programming, but he's an entity. And he gets inside of this little kid's empty head, right? The new generation. He's beginning to speak into this kid's head, programming the new generation. And what do you see in this kid's eyes as he's programming? This is the AI. So this is AI. AI is programming the new generation. What do you see in the kid's eye? NASDAQ, markets plummet, war. Markets plummet, war. Here comes the stealth bombers bombing Islam. And out of that bomb comes the demonic powers. They are released by the bats. The bats represent evil coming out. So the powers of evil have been released. But there is a dove of peace that the Antichrist had in his hand, and then it disappears. And this is where you see Islamic women weeping for their children, and you see a nuclear bomb in the back. And then you see this beetle that represents the Egyptian beetle, I think. It has something to do with the Egyptian beetle. And then some, I don't know if this is an African. You got these little African kids that are, being taught to fight wars in Africa. And it looks like it's something to do with this. And this could be, this is communism. I don't know if this represents Russia, but it could represent a lot of communistic states, even Latin American states. He almost kind of does look a little Latin, but he's obviously being, awash with what looks like green slime, which probably is some kind of nuclear stuff. And then you got the Asian countries bringing out their tanks. This is reminiscent of Tiananmen Square, protesting going on. And I think it kind of, this is actually symbols, which looks like, it also had the yin and the yang picture on it, which is probably like Korea. This looks like a Korean symbol. And then you got this skeleton that some people said had to do with COVID, because you can see like the COVID symbols in the back. I don't know if you would interpret that as COVID, but remember the Asian countries, especially like in China and Hong Kong, they were all protesting leading up to COVID. And once COVID hit, they locked everybody down, right? Because of the death and the contamination and everything that stopped all the protests. All the protests stopped once COVID hit. And remember, that looks like COVID in the background, right? That you got the death sign, and then you got COVID looking symbolisms in the back. And then she all of a sudden stops protesting. She looks down, she stops protesting. And here's the Antichrist still unconscious in a meditative state, going somewhere with burnished bronze feet. Remember, the Bible says that Jesus has burnished bronze feet as in a fire, right? In the book of Revelation, it says his feet are like burnished bronze, as if they're in a fire. Look at what his feet are. So he's the Antichrist, right? He's got feet on fire. Oops. Did I just mess that up? Okay, so there he is at that. And then you've got the propaganda continuing through AI, taking over the hearts and the minds and the souls of the new generation, continuing to speak into the heads of empty humanity with nothing in there. And then you see the Antichrist breaking through. He broke through all those dimensions. He's coming out of this womb. So he's coming out of the womb, and there's all this electricity. Bam. He's going through a tunnel, just about to come out the womb. And you got this demonic power, which is Kali, Indian destroyer of worlds, what they call the Shiva, right? Shiva, destroyer of worlds, doing the dance. And these are the miracles of Jesus being replicated. The fish coming up out of the water into the boat. These are replications of miracles of Jesus and the false Christ, right? Rising from the dead. This is another political head wound type moment, that are replicating the miracles of Jesus. And here, just like when Jesus said to the disciples, throw your net on the other side and you'll catch the fish. It was a miracle, right? They caught all the fish. So these fish just all of a sudden jump into the boat. Antichrist is still unconscious of himself. This is where you get, now this is the phallic symbol. This is, adult type stuff, but this represents, if you look at this, there's a cross at the top. And that's there is at the Vatican and this is what it represents, the Vatican, because it has a cross at the top of there is a, what do they call it? The obelisk. They have an obelisk with a cross. This is the only obelisk with a cross on the top of it in the world, is at the Vatican. So this represents the Vatican. Obviously, this is, symbolism they're putting in there as some old woman that's all dry, all used up, kind of like a whore, and she's hiding in this tower, but she's all used up, right? She's all used up. I just passed it through. And then you got Kali finalizing the dance of destruction. And now this is the global economy here. This represents all the global businesses, the business world, which I think could very well be the center of all commerce, which is the petrodollar. And look what happens. The Antichrist rises up from within the midst of the business world, up into the air, still unconscious, and bam, the whole global economy goes up in flames. Still unconscious, and there you got AI moving around, already accomplishing his goals by taking over empty-headed generation. Now this kid is filled with propaganda in his empty head. He goes out with NPC purpose. NPC. He's an NPC now, and then you got the tune is still continuing on. The band plays on, and the demonic powers are orchestrating this play. The Muslim world is definitely rising up in the full moon in the background over the ashes of what was the mosque. The Muslim world rises, right? It's rising up. So it's almost like a rebuilding of Islam, even after the destruction and the release of all those demons. They begin to rise up. And now the demonic power is being transformed So it's no longer Kali. It's now a different type of entity now, still doing a dance. And now it's becoming very clear that it's manifesting. It's manifesting. This is going back and hearkening back to Egyptian symbolism of the, there's one of their symbols is like a bird. I can't remember what. It's like, it looks kind of like this, and I forgot what they call it. So this dance is coming to a conclusion, and now the Enlightenment happens, and there's a big earthquake. Out comes the Antichrist from the womb, and still feet on fire with all the lotuses, right? Enlightenment. Bam, it's a golden age. He awakens. He finds out now who he is. He's self-aware now. He is the devil incarnate. And the church begins to collapse behind him. So this represents the Notre Dame. Remember when Notre Dame collapsed? It had the 4 spires just like this. And the spires, we watched the spires literally fall down. And remember when they rebuilt and dedicated the new Notre Dame, that Trump was there, and it was all about Trump. If you remember, when they rededicated the Notre Dame, Trump was the honored guest, and it really was all about Trump, the rededication of the Notre Dame. But when Notre Dame collapsed, you'll remember the spires collapsed down just like this. See how the spires fall? Watch. Just like that, Notre Dame collapsed. And everybody watched it. It was on fire, and the whole thing fell, just like that. Right when he was taking office, if you'll remember, is when Notre Dame was dedicated, rededicated. So that represents the new Christianity, which really isn't new. It's just after the order of, it's been rebuilt after it has fallen. And now, Antichrist is, a new day is dawning. And you can see the Egyptian symbols in the background there, the Egyptian pyramids. You know, there's been a lot of talk about what's really going on with the Egyptian pyramids, with the new ground radar that they've been able to detect, that it's actually very, very deep. There's a lot of stuff going on that we didn't know about that's underneath the pyramids. Some speculate that they're huge batteries that created energy from the top. The way in which it was structured was some kind of huge battery type system. But they are destroyed by this rising sun, right? This could be in reference to, some have speculated that this is a coronal mass ejections. Their sun is going through a nova, maybe there's people that are talking about this mini nova that could be happening right now with our star. And there's all kinds of anomalies that are affecting our whole solar system because of what's going on with our sun. And that this actually is a cycle that takes place every 13,000 years or so, that we're actually on that cycle. We're in the process of that cycle happening now. And you'll see that you can see up here, there's a constellation up here. It looks like Scorpio. But this Antichrist now is watching this dawning of a new age, a new global age, right? So many people look at that as being some kind of fulfillment to what's happening in the world right now with regards to events that have kind of coincided, especially, you know, with this recent stuff, you know. But a lot of people said, you know, that looks like Trump. Did that not look like Trump? I'm just saying, look like Trump. You got to kind of wonder. What's your thoughts on that? Epic fail? No, I don't know. Oh, look at, yes, that's right, Paul. When the spire was falling and on fire, Notre Dame was on fire, guess who happened to be right there taking a tour in the canal right there by Notre Dame? none other than Michelle Obama. And they took pictures of her with her glass of wine, looking with everybody else at this fire that was happening at Notre Dame. And you can see in the reflection of her wine glass, you could actually see the fire and the smoke as she's looking at it. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, Comet Atlas just flew by too. Mark Hill, that's true. And also, we also have Apophis, that's supposed to go very close to the Earth. Many people think that's going to actually hit the Earth. I think it's in 2029. Is that when it's supposed to fly by? They're saying that they believe that that's going to hit. Some people believe it's going to hit. The 12 men that are in the scene with the girl, yeah, that's very interesting. Yep. Wasn't that creepy? Has anybody ever seen that? What some of the new symbolisms there with that I never deciphered in the past was the picture of Trump up there. That looks just like Trump. That looks just like Trump. The evolution ultimately leads to Trump. That's really bizarre. But anyways, and then we got some other stuff here that we can look at with the news here. Let's take a look at some of the news stuff here really quick before we close it up. It is late. I know there's a lot of people here, even though it's a late night, but hey, it's like Art Bell. Everybody loves to stay up late and watch really weird stuff. When you can't sleep, what else do you got? Late night weird TV or radio? But hey, Trump is a genius, as I said. He did the Genius Act. I always say, when they say he's a genius, I'm a genius. Why is this not working here? Oh, I see. I did that wrong. Okay. Okay, so, yeah. He's a genius. I did that. World War III, that's all me. Even though I said we can't have endless wars in the Middle East and that everybody else before me was stupid because they don't know what they're doing and they shouldn't be in the Middle East. But now he's doing exactly what he said he wasn't going to do. I mean, did you guys see the compilation? We put out there that compilation of Trump saying everything that he was against that he's actually doing now. It's just bizarre. All right, breaking. Iran expects war to last 6 months. The U.S. now expects Iran war to last 6 months. First, it was 4 days. Then it was 2 weeks. Then it was 4 weeks. This is all in the last 2 or 3 days. Now it's 6 months. Political reported on March 4th reveals that CENTCOM requested intel support for at least 100 days and likely through September, roughly 6 months, indicating military planners are preparing for an extended campaign. Israel has also signaled that it could take months. Further confirmation. If it took how many years to get Israel to completely and utterly destroy Gaza, how long did it take them to do that? That's been almost 2 years. And that's just a small little piece of real estate. How long do you think it's going to take them to, turn over Iran? I mean, it's like huge. It's a huge country with very inhospitable terrain, not to mention the fact that they're going to be taking out all kinds of boats and ships. And the way it's situated, it's literally like shooting fish in a bowl, where they say shooting fish out of a bowl. It's like they've got all these mountainous range area that overlooks all the Gulf states as well as the Strait. I mean, they can literally just shoot right down with all their missile cities that are embedded in those mountains. And they've anticipated this war with America for a long time. And they've set up their military and their high command in such a way that it's disconnected, so that if one part is taken out, it's kind of like a a snake. You cut off one part, it's still going to bite you, and it's still going to move around. You just keep cutting it up, and it's going to keep moving. Like, it's got all different independent working systems that are going to continue to fight. You're never going to stop it. It's like whack-a-mole. You're gonna hit one spot, and it's going to pop up over here, and it's going to pop over here. You're just going to keep and it's going to keep attacking. It's going to keep attacking. So you've got these mountainous regions that have all these embedded missile cities. I mean, they're literally missile complexes deep inside these mountains, and you can't. The only way you're going to hit them is you're going to hit the entrance, and hopefully it's going to blow back. But they've got a lot of fake entrances. They put up all these fake entrances to try to waste weapons and munitions, and they're putting out fake helicopters and planes, and they're not even real. They're like painted. They make it look like, when you're looking at it from satellite, it looks real, and they send in a bomb and it doesn't even blow it up because it's not real. It's just painted on there to make it look. See, they even paint the shadows in it. They make it look just like a plane or a jet or a helicopter, and they paint shadows and everything. And then when they send a bomb to hit it, it blows up and you see a big hole, but the thing is still there. It's not even moved because it wasn't real. So we wasted a bomb. How much was that bomb worth? Well, they keep doing that. They'll just keep wasting bombs. I don't know if you saw some of those pictures, but so it says, this is further confirmation that this is a controlled demolition of the world economy. The closing of the Strait of Hormuz is the fuse that has been lit for the global chaos. Prepare accordingly. Yes, that's what I say. Here is missiles that went over central Israel, and then we chronicled that a little bit there on the side. I did listen for that. Last night, though, there were a lot of explosions. Some were saying it was the Iron Dome taken out, but to me, it sounded like impacts. It sounded more like impacts to me. But you can't see it because they won't allow you to see it. The State Department approves emergency $152 million bomb sale to Israel. So Rubio declared an emergency to skip congressional review. Israel is getting 12,000 BLU 110A-B 1,000-pound bomb bodies. I guess those are 1,000-pound bombs, right? 12,000 of them? Wow, that's a lot. The war is only 1 week old. Israel has already dropped enough ordnance to dismantle Khomeini's bunker with 50 jets and hit 500 plus targets. Now they're restocking without waiting for Congress to weigh in. Senate rejected the War Powers Resolution. House rejected the War Powers Resolution. And now arms sales are going through on emergency authority. Congress has been cut out of every step of this war. Source is NBC News. More U.S. Air Force C-17 Globemasters, or these are cargo planes that are reportedly flying in and out of the Middle East, probably moving air defense interceptors and other military equipment. USS George W. Bush is H.W. Bush is deploying to the Middle Eastern Mediterranean. This will be the third CSG, or what are the strike carrier group? Carrier strike group. They call it a carrier strike group in the region for the Iran war. And really, you only need one carrier strike group to destroy a nation like Iran. Why would we need all three of them there? So is it that they're putting all of our assets in one place so that when we're in trouble, we don't have anything to protect the homeland? I mean, or from other regions of the world that might go up. What they're saying is happening right now is China is not doing anything right now. Normally, over the last few years, there's been operations ongoing nonstop around Taiwan. But now, all of a sudden, everything's quiet. It's like they're just not doing anything. And they're saying that it could be possible that China is now preparing for an assault. Once we commit boots on the ground and we're fully engaged, they're going to make a move. And right now they're preparing all of their invasion vehicles and vessels, a lot of those looking like civilian shipping. They've retrofitted them, and they've obviously prepared them in advance. Even before they made these ships, they have a requirement that all civilian vessels that are of a certain cargo type size or whatever are retrofitted to be turned into military vessels at a moment's notice, so they can turn their whole civilian, cargo ship inventory into these vessels that will be stealthy, right? They'll have stealth missile systems on them and guns and everything, but they look just like cargo ships. And they have a lot of those, a lot. So they're going to use those when they do the invasion, possibly. This is the video I was talking about that's going viral, and it's got literally 1.5 million views in just a few hours. We reposted it so you could see what we're talking about there. This was in New York City, and they're literally doing a memorial service for Ayatollah Khomeini in New York City. Look at this. Tell me this isn't crazy. Look at this. They've got candles. They've got like a little altar there. This is in the U.S. A vigil for Ayatollah Khomeini in New York City. I don't know if this is in the hood, where this is at, but there are a few people here that look a little upset, but mostly people are just standing around, all blacked out so they can't be seen, I guess, so they don't know. Escorting her away. You can hear her. There's a woman in the back that's just yelling and screaming. She's probably Iranian. They're escorting her away. You can hear her obviously yelling and screaming there. Only wonder how this is going to turn out. I guess we're going to find out. This is a live feed here. Somebody with SpongeBob SquarePants coat on, putting an Islamic scarf around his face. Looks like something's going on over here. Lots of cameras. Police are out there. It looks like. Nope. I don't know. I don't think the police are out there. So there's a confrontation. That looks like Nicki Minaj.
Yeah, there's another angry piece of shit right here. Look.
Well, anyways, that was what happened there. And only in America, right? Okay, so that went on today. And then you got this guy, Trump supporter, who is so upset when he gets to the pump, when he sees the price of gas, probably the increase of it, 50 cents a gallon. He's going to be really mad in a few days when he sees the price go up another $2 a gallon. And then in a week or two, he's going to be really mad. He's probably going to just start destroying the pumps when he gets there, because they're going to be like $4 or $5 more expensive than they are now. I can see gas price, if they don't stop this, which they're not going to, I don't think. Really? Do you see them stopping this? In the next week to 2 weeks, you could see barrels of oil, crude oil, going for $150 a barrel, which would probably increase our prices at the pump by at least $4 to $5 a gallon. They're already paying $6 or $7 a gallon in California because of all the tax. They're going to be paying well over $10 a gallon here real soon. And Average America, fly over America, probably going to be around $8, maybe more. They're going to have to tap into whatever's left of the strategic reserve. And who knows if it's, Trump's going to try to, I don't think he really cares now about his image. I think he's already filled with wrath, epic fury, and he knows his time is short. So he's going to make as much chaos to accomplish his goals without any feedback and blowback. He doesn't really care because, in the fog of war, nobody really pays attention to the details anymore. Everybody's just, thinking about survival. They're only thinking about, hey, the economy sucks, everything. They're going to just blame it on Iran. They're going to have some event that happens, a hack, our computer systems go down, critical infrastructure is affected. They're going to blame Iran. Oh, Iran did it. Look at what they're doing. They're attacking us. They destroyed our economy. Now we're really mad. Now we're really going to take it out on them. It's all their fault, right? It's not Trump's fault. This is rally behind the flag. This is America. We're going to attack Iran really hard now. And what other countries are helping, aiding, and abetting? Russia, China, whatever. Look at what's going on. The whole world is in shambles now. And Trump is leading the charge. He initiated it. Problem, reaction, solution. The world is reacting. Trump's hopefully he's going to try. I got the solution. I'm the man of peace. We got the board of peace, remember? Board of peace. We can all go to the board of peace. We can all talk about it. Right? I mean, I don't know how you have a board of peace when you're the one that actually initiated the whole conflict. Facilitated it, at least. Or was it arm twisting? Who knows? The Dow Jones Future Markets jobs report was just dropped, and it's ugly. Non-farm payrolls, negative 92,000 previous month, revised down from 1,000 or 130,000 to 126,000. 2-month revision, negative 69,000 jobs. Unemployment ticked up to 4.4%, highest since November 2025. Local force participation crushed to 62%, lowest since November of 2021. Before the recovery, CNBC's response, wow, a big drop. It looks like the first time in history, BlackRock suspends withdrawals from one of its private credit funds of $26 billion. This is impacting bank stocks, and banking index has been falling, negative 2.3% since the news. Wow. Not good. Investors tried to pull $1.2 billion from its $26 billion private credit fund. BlackRock said no and capped withdrawals at 5%. Nearly half the investors who wanted out were denied their money. And by the way, I would suggest that you be very aware that there could be a bank there could be a very big bank crash. If you're anywhere connected to any kind of stock, and I think it's going to happen really soon, you better get out if you can before it happens, because you could lose everything. And literally your 401k would disappear overnight, by the way. That's what happened in 2008. But this will be much worse. 2008, if you stayed in, you recovered somewhat because things did turn back around. But this is different, and this probably won't turn back around, and it will be the collapse and the reset. And they'll try to give you UBI, or they'll try to, feed you in some other way to keep you happy if the wars don't take you out. But I think that the DP, well, I say Depop, you can't really say those words because they get, they don't like that topic. But I think that they really want to thin out the herd a little bit, if you ask me. And this is why these things are happening. They're saying that they're going to take care of everybody because everybody's jobs are going to be threatened in the next three to 4 years. Everybody, not just some people that are using words or that have jobs that, AI can take. We're talking about robotics. We're talking about automation. We're talking about truly AI controlled everything. Everything. Everybody's job. You're not needed. You're not essential anymore. So they don't need you. You did your job. You programmed everything. You laid out the critical infrastructure for those necessary people that are going to be needed. But the majority of people aren't needed and aren't necessary. Just think Georgia Guidestones. Okay? That's how many people. And the Bible talks about a huge swath of humanity that's destroyed. Right? A third, and then another third, and then another. A third is destroyed, and then a third of that, whatever's left, is destroyed of that, and then another. It's just a complete bloodletting. When you look at the Book of Revelation, you got to wonder if that's not where we're at. Prices right now, look at that, $7.81 a gallon, and this is just the beginning. People are asking how this is even real. This is what happened in Los Angeles. $8 for premium. It's going to only get worse. If you missed our spiritual meeting, our prophetic reading and meditation, and really it is spiritual gathering, make sure you get over there and check it out on the prophetic channel. BP Ministries channel. I said the prophetic deep dive is coming, so that's tomorrow. So get ready for that one. We'll be talking deep dive in on the spiritual side. Israel warns its citizens not to share missile strike footage. Israel has warned its citizens that if they share Iranian missile attacks on social media, well, they've stated they could be arrested, right? Anybody that's sharing visuals and video can be arrested. Iran's international airport was hit by a massive U.S.-Israeli airstrike. Look at that. Look at how big that is. Dang. That's a massive explosion. And it says Trump has privately shown serious interest in U.S. ground troops in Iran. This is at NBC. This is interesting. State of Washington. Anybody live in Washington State here? They put through a bill that says that non-citizens can actually be hired for police enforcement, law enforcement, and prosecutors. So they don't even have to be citizens now to put you in jail. You can jail and prosecute Americans and not even be a citizen of the U.S. Oh, great. That's Washington Senate Bill 5068, regular session, and engross House Bill Analysts 2026. This was Washington State Bill 5068. The UK government launched a 24-week bird flu vaccine trial, or vaccine trials for bird flu. The announcement also follows the UK government's plan to run Exercise Pegasus, the country's largest ever national pandemic response exercise, designed to simulate a novel outbreak across England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland after Prime Minister Starmer signed the World Health Organization pandemic treaty that allows the organization to recommend lockdown-style social measures. So it really does seem like they're preparing for another massive round 2 of COVID-like restrictions on, and this would be perfect in a time of war because they want you, that's what martial law is. And I think that's why they're rolling out the military in every state right now in the U.S., via National Guard and federalized police and local law enforcement, state, local, federalizing everything. Trump had a meeting, and guess who was there? Condoleezza Rice, the former Secretary of State under George Bush, right? What was she doing there? You have to ask yourself, what was she doing there? Are they planning something? Something going on? Another 9/11? Why is she there? Oh, they said she was there she's there for saving college sports. She was attending a roundtable at the White House for saving college sports. Yeah, right. Tonight will be our biggest bombing campaign. We will do the most damage to the Iranian missile launchers and the factories that built the missiles. This is according to the Secretary of Treasury, Scott Bessent. They're just telling them what they're going to do. Hey, we're going to hit you in the face. We're going to knock you over the head with a 2x4. We're going to break your arm, maybe your leg, and then we'll come back and do it again a little bit later. Just be ready. Here we come. IRGC spokesman dares President Trump to send U.S. Navy to escort oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. I dare you. And then you know what he said after that? You're not going to believe it. He said, I double dog dare you. And Trump was like, oh, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. Did you say double dog dare? He's like, oh, no, you didn't. You just wait what I do now. I'm gonna tear your head off. And he's like, you come and do it. Bring it. We're ready. You come on. This is what they did. Does this not like what it sounds like to me? I'm telling you. Double dog dare you. Is there anybody out there awake? Hello? I'm looking at the comment section right now. We've still got a bunch of people in the house. How many of you guys out there are asleep? Anybody out there listening to me that's asleep? Just snore and let me hear you. Let me hear you say, way-ho. You awake, Karen Fed? Alan? Everybody awake? Scott, you're awake? Scott never sleeps. Scott never sleeps, and neither does the devil. I'm just kidding, Scott. They always say that. The devil never... Hey, you know who never sleeps? God never sleeps. And they always say the devil's in the details. Well, I'll tell you who's in the minute details of everything. That is God. So thank God that God is more aware of the minutia, right, than even the devil. But God never sleeps, and that's a good thing. Scott never sleeps. That's a good thing. And all you guys out there that are watching, you're not sleeping either. You know why I'm not sleeping? Because I'm drinking coffee. Traditionally ground coffee. Oh, did you like that, Karen Fed? Did you like the way I did that? It totally reminded me of the Lucy program. When I watched that clip of her like, I'm just like the queen bee. I get excited and I get everybody excited. And they're like, Trump wants to get excited. So I just flit around like a queen bee. Are you excited? Ooh, we're going to make lots of money. We're going to grift the people. Ooh. It's our country now. We're going to bring the kingdom. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah. And then that dude was walking back and forth, pacing back and forth behind her. And I was like, this looks just like I've seen this somewhere. Where did I see this? I know I saw this somewhere. And then I'm like, I Love Lucy. The episode when Ethel thought that she was just somebody special and she was up there doing her thing. And Ricky and Lucy and Fred thought she was crazy. And they were walking behind her with all these different props showing how the tree kept growing and growing because she was just going on and on and on and on. Looney Tunes. Paula White, I know. Taking an 11:11 bathroom break. Yeah, it was just 11:11. Isn't that weird? How did you do that? That's crazy. JME Grammy's wide awake. Oh, Lord. You have Voodoo Rangers, so what the heck is Voodoo Rangers? I have no idea what that is. Karen, that's funny. Oh, man. All right, I guess we got a few other things to look at, I guess, before I go. What else? China says the U.S. is saying that intelligence suggests that China may be preparing to provide Iran with financial aid, spare parts, and missile components. We want to help our friends. U.S. not our friend no more. Anyways, it's too late to be making fun. API? You mean an IPA? Yeah, an IPA. Okay, I gotcha. IPA. That's the one that tastes like it's really dark and it tastes really bitter. I don't know. I think that's what it is. Please don't go. Don't go. Don't go away. Hey, and please don't go. Alan, I won't go because the economy's about to crash. Look at this. Today we lost $805 billion were wiped out from the U.S. stock market today. Not too good. The Dow closes down negative 450 points, and it's all smoke and mirrors anyway. They're trying to prop it up as best they can. Plunge protection team, but that didn't even work. I know it's a crazy world, Karen. But keep your eyes on Jesus. I'm telling you, you can have peace even in the midst of all the chaos. And if it does come down to the point where they're going to trample underfoot the holy seed, which we are, it'll be quick. And the Lord will be with every one of us. Amen? And it'll just be one hop, skip, and a jump, and we're in the presence of the eternal God. And I want to tell you what, the new world, the new heavens, the new world's much better. It's perfect in every way, right? The Lord will make sure we get there without any problem. Don't Go with Sonny and Cher. Play it, I guarantee. Is it? I'm not sure. I thought it was REO Speedwagon. REO Speedwagon. Is it REO Speedwagon? Let me see. I think it was REO Speedwagon. Yeah, don't let it. I think this is it. Let me see. Let's see if this is it. Why is this not working? There's something wrong with this feed here. Hold on. This video ain't working. I wonder what's the matter with it. It's like, yeah, there's something wrong with this video. Let's see. Is this it? Is this it? It's doing the same thing. What's the matter with my YouTube? All right, let's try this one. Yeah, there's something wrong with that. Nope, that's not it. That's not the one. I'm thinking of maybe it Sticks. Yeah, it Sticks. No, it's not. It's not Sticks. I'm trying to remember who sang that. Let me see. Okay, I think I found it. Casey and the Sunshine Band. Casey and the Sunshine Band. That's it. That's it. That's got to be a 70s song. Yeah, remember that? So you remember that song? That's got to be 70s, right? When was that? I can't. That's got to be 70s because I remember listening to that on the bus on the way to school in the early 80s. It brings back another time, another place, another time. Sonny and Cher, 1964. It's called No Trust Me. Copy what link? I don't have the link. But I think that's it. I believe you. I believe you. Tommy Gunner channel. Is Tommy Gunner here? I don't even know who Tommy Gunner is. Is that you, Paul? Play the Sonny and Cher version. Let me see. Sonny and Cher. Oh yeah, Sonny and Cher. But I can't play the music because it'll make it'll put a blink on the feed. Yeah, I remember that song.
I never had
Uh-huh. I remember that song.
I can't stay.
Boy, they look a lot different now. Well, Sonny's not even here anymore. I guess he got taken out by a tree because he didn't know how to ski. He wasn't skiing right. You're not supposed to go down a slope that you can't handle, but he ran right into a tree. At least that's the official narrative, right? Oh, so Cher admits why she really divorced Sonny.
Because I have no place to...
I'll have to guess. He cheated on her, right? Is that what happened? He was mayor of Palm Springs there for a little bit. He was skiing Heavenly Valley in South Lake Tahoe, and he ran into a tree. You can die if you don't know how to ski. I've seen somebody hit a tree, and I think they did die too. They went over a cliff, and they hit a tree, just like in the cartoon, you know, and they went all the way down. Anyways. All right, what else we got here? They're planning on blood donations. This is weird. Okay, so this is a little bit of information that we got from somebody, and you can take this as unconfirmed or unconfirmed reports from people that are connected to military people. Okay. So this is coming from Don't Speak News. This is his account of a friend that he knows. He said, okay, this was from a video that he posted, and somebody posted a comment on his video. So it wasn't somebody that he knew. It was somebody that posted a comment on his video. The comment was, my buddy deals with Walter Reed for his leg amputee. For his leg, he's an amputee. And he was just told today that Walter Reed is and about to receive a large amount of polytrauma casualties. And if it keeps happening, then Walter Reed is going to dump all of its disabled vet patients to accommodate the combat casualties. Literally just told me that, so confirmed. Thanks, Johnny. He was talking to Don't Speak News. So we had heard that there were huge amounts of casualties. This is all not being spoken of in the news, so we don't even know if it's, we've been hearing rumors, lots of rumors about casualties, American casualties, but nothing in, no confirmation officially, right? So this comes out, and then you got all this, other stuff that's coming out that seems to kind of maybe confirm maybe this testimony, but look at what it says. Well, first of all, a polytrauma casualty is a medical condition involving severe injuries to multiple body parts and organ systems simultaneously, often defined by an injury severity score, or an ISS. And then it says commonly caused by high energy accidents or blast injuries. It frequently combines traumatic brain injury with fractures, burns, or amputation. So that's what a polytrauma casualty is. So if these impacts by these missiles are actually happening, because there's a lot of testimony from the Iranians saying that they took this target out and they killed this many casualties or whatever. I don't know how they're getting all that information, but this is what's being shared on social media. Then this could be the result of what he's talking about there. Now, this was a news article that came out, and this is this article is the connection. This is Stars and Stripes. So it's stripes.com, stripes.com. I believe it's a military site. And this is the article that came out on stripes.com. It says the Armed Services Blood Program is asking the Kaiser's Lantern military community to keep up or to step up and donate ahead of possible increased demand. Blood drives will be held across KMC starting next week, offering several chances to make a life-saving donation. The drives are open to anyone with base access, including U.S. and NATO service members, civilian and local national employees, retirees, and family members ages 18 and older. This is the same community as the Landstuhl Hospital, and blood has a limited shelf life. So they need the blood now, and as they said, it has a limited shelf life. These two developments together highly suggest the U.S. is either hiding losses or imminently expects mass casualties. That was the commentary added to this article. So when you start putting two and two together and you start wondering, like, okay, this is coming from stripes.com, they're asking for blood, and then you hear the rumors of lots of American casualties, and then you start hearing these reports from people that are just sharing information, like this guy here, you kind of wonder if there isn't any connection to this story. Because this guy here is a vet going to Walter Reed because he has an amputated leg, and they're telling him, hey, we can't see you anymore if this keeps increasing with patients. We're going to be getting a whole flood more of patients coming in. If that's true, that means that we have a lot more things that have gone on that we don't know about. Okay? Just saying. And we've seen lots of impacts that are taking place in different bases across the Middle East that are U.S. bases. We've been seeing big explosions. You know, there's got to be, our guys are in there, I would think. Look at this. 3 out of 4 biggest economies in the Persian Gulf have discussed stopping foreign investment as the U.S.-Israeli war against Iran takes a toll on them, the Financial Times reports. The move could be a precautionary measure as a result of the budget strains these countries are facing, an anonymous Gulf official told the FT, or Financial Times, refusing, however, to name the specific nations. There's Gulf nations, what? UAE, Dubai, Bahrain, what is it called? Bahrain. There's a few others. Saudi Arabia, right? If they decide on the step, it could also affect U.S., especially given the billions of dollars that are of worth of investment, the billions worth investment deal Trump achieved with the Gulf states during the 2025 visits. So remember when he made all these big deals and he was all talking about how much trillions of dollars coming in. Well, if they stop these investments because of what's just happened, maybe they're trying to pressure Trump to end the Iran war by getting this investment not coming. So that's like hitting our bottom line, because we were expecting all this, new investment money, trillions coming in from Saudi Arabia. I think they were promising 1.5 trillion or something like that. It was a huge amount of money. And it says these Gulf states are mulling over the idea that they could pull investments out of the U.S. due to this Middle Eastern war. They're not being protected. And this was another criticism I heard against the U.S. is that they don't feel that they have a priority over Israel, and that Trump is favoring Israel over their safety and their security. And so they're not really happy about that. Yeah, that's not good. Well, these are videos here of Iranian drone hits that hit a U.S. logistics company in Basra. And this U.S. logistics company, Kellogg Brown and Root, is in Basra, Iraq, and it's the attack triggered huge fires and thick smoke. The site reportedly belongs to Al Burjusia Company, which supplies chemicals used in oil well drilling operations and is linked to the U.S. military. That might be a reason why it was hit, right? So check out some of the videos on this. These are some pictures, but here's some video. This is in Iraq. Look at that. Look at how big that is. That's a huge fire. It's an inferno, man. An inferno.
هاي تقريبا مسافة كيلو.
ده وين كيلو ها 150 متر.
لا لا كيلو والله 200
وين
متر.
كيلو عمي هاي يمنا غير يمنا احنا.
وجت مخازن
يا
هليبرتي
ساتر يا ربي الله الحافظ.
So looks pretty huge. I mean, that looks like a huge, massive fire. You got to wonder what that was. If it had something to do with oil, I guess it's going to burn like that. Israel attacked a UN peacekeeping post in Lebanon. So this is supposedly a U.S. peacekeeping post. Don't know if what that means or if it's legit. Supposedly they say this is a post for UN peacekeepers. Maybe it was an accident. Whoops.
Oh my God. Oh Jesus. Ready boy, ready boy. Oh. Charlie.
Why is he making his camera go back and forth like that? Does that look like UN soldiers? That does look like UN soldiers, huh? They got blue helmets. It says UN. Uh-oh. Yeah. UN soldiers. Those are UN soldiers. The blue helmet guys. Pretty crazy. The USS Gerald Ford aircraft carrier has crossed the Suez and has entered the Red Sea. The carrier and its strike group are moving from defensive to likely offensive operations. So it looks like something's about to go down again. And is it true that the USS Abraham Lincoln was hit? Because I keep hearing reports that the USS Abraham Lincoln was hit. Let me do a search on this. USS Abraham Lincoln hit by missile. Let's see if that's true. Is it true? Based on reports, this is the AI search. Based on reports from March 1st to the 6th of 2026, the claim that the USS Abraham Lincoln was hit by an Iranian missile is false. Here are the details. CENTCOM denial. USS Central Command officially denied claims from the Iranian Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps that they struck the carrier with ballistic missiles, calling the assertion a lie. No damage, missed target. U.S. officials stated that the missiles launched by Iran didn't even come close to the vessel. Operational status. The USS Abraham Lincoln remained fully operational and continued to launch aircraft in the region following the alleged attack. However, all the toilets don't work still. Did you guys hear the report on the toilet situation that's been ongoing for like months and months and months? They still haven't fixed. I mean, that's absolutely disgusting. When you look at some of the videos that those guys are and the conditions that they have to endure, my gosh, it's terrible. Fabricated footage. Videos circulating on social media showing a burning ship are not authentic and have been identified as old footage or simulations. Old footage? How could it have been old footage? Was the USS Abraham Lincoln ever on fire before? Has that happened before? The Iranian claims followed a period of high tension in which the USS or the U.S. and Israel engaged in joint operations against Iran. I just got to see these videos. I want to see what they look like. Kind of curious. Let's see if we can see an actual video of this. That would be considered fake news, I would think. It says that the Abraham Lincoln fled the Sea of Oman after the Iranian attack. That's their big claim. Let's just see if there's any footage.
America's Navy, China Sea.
Let's see.
The Iranian military's claim of a strike targeting the U.S. aircraft comes days after an American submarine sank an Iranian warship in the Indian Ocean. Sri Lanka's Navy recovered 87 bodies and rescued 32 Iranian sailors from the IRS Dina, which sank in international waters off the coast of the island nation, a rare instance of a submarine torpedoing a ship since World War II. Earlier in the day, the Iranian military claimed that the naval missiles hit an American oil tanker in the Persian Gulf, triggering fire in the vessel.
The assault on commercial shipping in Gulf waters showed no signs of letting up as the U.S.-Iran conflict entered its 5th day, with more vessels coming under attack. A Bahamas-registered crude oil tanker became the latest victim after an explosive-laden remote-controlled boat believed to have been deployed by Iranian forces rammed into the vessel while it was anchored in the vicinity of Iraq's Hor al-Zubair port. In addition, a second tanker anchored off the Kuwaiti coast suffered a massive explosion on its port side, causing the ship to take on water and leak oil into surrounding Gulf waters. The two incidents bring the total number of vessels targeted to 9 since clashes broke out between the United States, Israel, and Iran on Saturday, which has sent shockwaves through global shipping and energy markets. The toll on regional shipping has been severe. Tracking data from the Marine Traffic Platform estimated that roughly 200 vessels, including oil tankers, liquefied natural gas carriers, and cargo ships, remained stranded at anchor in open Gulf waters, unwilling or unable to move.
Wow. So, okay, so we got that. Let me pull up. I got something else here I want to look at really quickly here. Hold on. Oh, but by the way, Marco Rubio, Trump said is on his way to, he's going to be on his way to Cuba real soon because Cuba is about to fall. Cuba is about to fall, they say. I told you Cuba was on its last leg. What they were doing there is crazy. Colonel Douglas McGregor warns that the crew in the White House have no idea what the consequences will be of taking 25% of the world's energy offline. It will be a disaster 1 million times worse than COVID. This is what Colonel McGregor says. He's a former colonel in the U.S. military. LNG shipping rates soar 650% from $40,000 to $300,000 per day. U.S. crude oil tops $90 a barrel. Let's see if it's gone up any higher. I'm kind of curious. Let's see. It's at 91.27. Kind of just tapered off there, but it was at 92.23, but that's still very high. In one day, it's gone up almost $20 a barrel. It was at 70 just the other day. Really quickly here, let's just go over a couple little other things here. Qatar warns that oil could hit $150 a barrel within 2 or 3 weeks if tankers cannot pass through the Strait of Hormuz. Iranian ballistic missile strikes Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia. That looked pretty legit. Let's see really quick here. Okay, one other thing, and then we're done. Department of War, Operation Epic Fury, Great Wrath. It says, is that what you wanted me to see? All right, let me show you that really quick. So this is the Epic Fury Department of War Truth Social page, it looks like. And it says, Operation Epic Fury, Great Wrath. It's got 69,000 views. Is that the way they posted? Therefore, rejoice, you heavens, that you dwell there. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil has come down to you, having great wrath, because he knows his time is short. Okay, so somebody just added that. Is that what you wanted me to see? Did I miss something? Okay. All right. I think that's it. All right, guys. God bless. I love y'all. And pray your best days are ahead, as it says. Path of the righteous grows brighter and brighter unto the perfect day. But the wicked stumble at what they know not of. They know not. They don't see. They're walking in gross darkness. But you can be the light that draws them out from their evil self, right? The self that is evil. Oh, you made that? Oh, okay. And that salvation that is truly, that only God can provide, right? The grace and the mercy that God gives to save us from ourselves and the powers of darkness and the world that we live in. It is a fallen world. And it is, it's gone over into the singularity. It's gone over the event horizon into the deep, dark pit. And I don't know what's come out of that pit. I think it's Apollyon. I think that we literally are watching what the Bible says would be that pit being opened and that flood of evil, wickedness. But it says the Spirit of the Lord will raise up a standard against him. When evil comes in like a flood, and the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord will raise up a standard against him. And you are the standard. You are the standard. Remember that. Lift up the standard. Lift up your testimony. Resist without fear. It says, we overcome him, the devil, and the world that he rules by the blood of the Lamb, by the word of our testimony, and we love not our lives even unto death, right? You're committed all the way. You're not going to compromise. You hold the standard. Go forward. Move out. Just like in, if you ever saw the movie The Patriot, remember that scene where the guy that held the standard fell, and then Mel Gibson comes and picks it up because everybody started running. They were running back away from the battle, and he's like, no, and he picks up the standard and he starts running toward the battle, and everybody gets courage and they turn back around and they start going after the British, and the British then turn and they start running. Remember, the whole battle turned on the standard. Make sure you lift it up and don't be afraid. Amen. God bless. You guys have a good